You're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics. I'm Tana Ford here at New York City Comic Con with these lovely gentlemen. And later, I'm going to be drinking Basil Hayden's Dark Rye.
It's like a trombone. Yeah. Like a rusty trombone.
Real rusty.
It was good.
Yeah? All right.
It had flavor. Had style.
Flavor.
Yeah.
Ring tingler. A pen poozler.
Are you rapping? Dude.
Grinch
Dude.
for Christmas, dude.
Do you know who I follow on the Blue Sky? Flava Flav. And
Yeah.
he is fucking, he's weird, man. I mean, I always knew he was because I love Public Enemy, but I thought maybe there would be a Flavor Flav persona that was like not the character, but I guess he is who he is, man.
And it's because of Flav that I found out that Chuck is on Blue Sky and started following him.
Oh, I didn't know Chuck was on there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fun platform. Yes, there's a ton of information, but the amount of comic art and artist period and creators that even I never even saw on the other site. But have either migrated here or just set up camp here. It's amazing and so much kink and so much there is so much TNA all over the platform.
I think we're going to use that as a nice lead-in because the kink in the TNA that works. And we hope you enjoy it because this is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 959. People. Damn. Yeah. And I'm Vince B.
You are Vince B. And what is 959, Vince?
You know what it is. They know what it is. I don't have to tell them. If they don't know, you haven't been paying attention.
That's true. It's true. I am David A. Price.
This is facts. And of course, back from my sojourn abroad, I am Barnabas Cole.
He was crooking his neck looking for the cue card. Back from my...
I didn't think about the intro. I knew what I was going to be. I didn't think I was going to segue.
That's okay. I mean, no, you're not.
I'm rusty.
I even forgot who you said. Barnabas Cobb or whatever the fuck you said.
Barnabas Cole, dog.
All right, you're Jason Wood, everybody. All together. Yay. Back again. Brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com. I just got a box from Cheap Graphic Novels the other day. Yes. One thing you will hear about in a few. The other was that massive Sunday book.
About time. There you go.
It is ginormous.
I told you, bruh.
Yeah. I just wish it was a hardcover.
God.
But, yeah. So, I mean, if you want the manga, the omnibus editions, trade paperbacks, OGNs, art books, all that stuff, you know where to go where the prices are super duper low. That's cheapgraphicnovels.com. Remember, if you're a first-time customer, this is the gravy on top of the delicious meat. If you're a first-time customer, you can place an order, tasteful, yet a little on the small side, and then you're going to receive an email confirmation from Max saying, thank you. You know, you want to thank the people that patronize your business, right? You're going to reply to that email saying, wow, I never would have known about this place, this beautiful nirvana of comic book savings, if it wasn't for 11 O'Clock Comics. You don't have to word it like that. You can make it something up. And Max will return an email to you saying you have just earned yourself free shipping on your next order. Crazy town.
Love it. And then load up on that order. Like, load up.
See, Jason's my puppet. I beamed those words right into his brain. I had to search for it a little bit, but I found it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are specials. Yes. And there are specials.
I love it. There absolutely are.
Jesus.
You guys were having, I was caught up in Jason's return and everything. I was just all flustered.
I love you, but
I can't go away.
Improv is not your forte.
I didn't. Hey, I admit to dropping the ball here. It's fine.
Pick up the bass.
It's happened to all of us.
Huh?
So, our specials this week, if you're not a slacker and you haven't seen what I posted over there, we've got the 2004 edition of the first volume of The Absolute Transmetropolitan by Warren Ellis and Eric Robertson. This collects Transmet 1 through 18, Vertigo Witcher's Edge number 2, and Transmetropolitan, I Hate It Here, 40% off, $89.99. For Jason, we have Aquaman by Peter David. It's the omnibus at 40% off, coming in at $89.99. This is massive. It contains over 30 never-before collected issues, including Aquaman Time and Tide, 1 through 4, Aquaman the Ongoing, 0 through 49, 1 million, Aquaman Annuals, numbers 1 through 4, Tempest, 1 through 4, and a story from Showcase 96, number 1. 2 of this funky new format from DC that I'm dying to get my hands on. These are both 40% off, both $23.99. You have DC Finest, Justice Society of America, For America and Democracy, and DC Finest Green Lantern, The Defeat of Green Lantern, collects All-Star Comics 3 through 12, and Green Lantern 19 through 39, Flash 143, and Brave and Bold number 59. And for Vince,
wow,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Armageddon Game Deluxe Edition hardcover, 30% off, $55.99, collects the 2021 and 2022 annuals, Opening Moves 1 and 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles numbers 131 through 139, The Alliance numbers 1 through 6, and the 8 issues of the Armageddon Game. And those are your highlights from CGN this week.
I have all those. I have all those in single issues. Not going to buy them again. Dab.
Way to stomp all over me, bro. Thanks.
Dab, do you think that when we were in New York Comic-Con and we're ponied up to the urinal next to Peter David, he pictured Arthur's head in the urinal?
Get it all over you.
Yeah, that's it, Aquaman. Take it.
Flashback.
Jason's like, the hell's going on?
Craziness. It's chaos since I left.
It's, you know me and chaos. Love it. And I have a soft spot for you. So I figured, you're coming back. You're coming back tonight. No, I do. I'm going to get me some good stuff. So I stopped at the distributor and I bought myself a case of Sam Adam. And that's what I'm drinking. Sam Adam.
You love the Sam, the winter lager?
No. Just a regular Boston. They even had the Fizz-A-Wig and all that. And I was like, I'm going to keep it traditional. Because I just love the taste of, I have never had a bad morning after with Sam's, no matter how much of it I drank. Like an IPA will level me for the next day if I drink too much of it. Mm-hmm. A Boston Lager, Sam Adams, it's crisp, it's tasty, it's clean, makes me feel good, and I don't pay for it the next day.
Nice.
Yep. IPAs, they bite back.
Love to see it.
Hair of the dog.
Yes. Well, I am regaling you tonight, Vince, with some Bubbly Bellini Bliss sparkling water.
That sounds cheap.
Is
it Is it Bublé the singer? Bublé?
No, like bubbly, B-U-B.
Oh, okay.
The Pepsi stuff, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it makes
is
you
it
happy.
Owned by Pepsi? Is it owned by Pepsi?
Bubbles? Yeah. Bubbles?
I have no idea. Oh, there you go. I'm good. I'm real good, actually. I've been... Listen, the holiday season is rough for the eating and the drinking, man. It's been a mess.
I bet you've had to make many concessions over the past couple weeks.
I feel disgusting. I just feel I gotta.
Did you get any? Were you able to at least lighten it up a bit between New York Comic-Con and Thanksgiving?
New York Comic.
Because we kind of overdid it for that weekend as far as consumption.
But I'm saying, the Thanksgiving week, it's just the whole thing. I feel like the holiday season just precludes it's just a lot of eating and drinking, man.
It's how humans live, Jason.
No, but it's like what it's like though. Like
it sucks, yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like you're like, oh,
yep. Yeah,
that's how I feel. I'm like, ugh. So, as you guys know, my birthday's coming up, and so the wifey said she's kidnapped me for that day. So I assume, I assume there'll be some kind of nice meal and some wine involved with that. But I told her it's dry December other than that day. So.
Well, she probably said, "You do you," but I'm going to have some. I don't blame her.
No, she's not doing. It's up to her. I'm saying I'm doing dry December except for my birthday.
Wow, there you go.
sometimes you just got to recharge. You know, you got to like get the spirit back up. You know?
I get it.
100%. Well, I already teased Vince with my beverage of this evening. I'm a little I'm a little congested, trying to make sure I'm not sick for next week, and I am enjoying a very delicious hot toddy.
Look at you.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Pinky out, man.
Some honey. Actually, it's a new bourbon that I picked up last week. It's Noble Oak. It's a double oak bourbon. It is a bourbon whiskey finished with sherry oak staves, and Bigelow Earl Grey tea is in this big ass mug.
I guess you could say you're falling for the okie doke.
Oh, you could.
You could.
I wish you wouldn't, but you could.
I know. Vince, by the way, I placed a big order at our friend Cheap Graphic Novels on Black Friday.
Excellent.
So
yeah, those deals were. I mean, it was over 1,000 items. It was amazing.
Bro, I got
page
the two 100 Bullets Omniboo for over 50% off.
Yep.
Got the Absolute Preacher Volume 1 hardcover because for some reason I have 2 and 3, and I don't have 1. I don't know. It's possible it's somewhere in my room and tucked away and I haven't seen it, but I don't think I have 1. And I got the beautiful hardcover slipcase of The American Gods.
Nice.
Nice. I feel weird. I don't know how to navigate those waters anymore. Like I'm not gonna just forget about Neil Gaiman. Right.
I
mean, the current situation. I guess 5 or more women have come out and made allegations, and whatever. You follow?
Oh, I wasn't even aware. I knew he had the one situation. Yeah. I didn't know it had gotten worse.
Yeah, it's like there's a pattern that is formed, and while I feel for all parties involved, like the work is so damn good. It's so good. What do you do?
Listen, if there's one topic that we have had 100 discussions on the show on, it's the separating art from artist, and I think
true.
We always come down to there are no rules. Do what makes you feel good, because each of us can cite 10 times that we're hypocrites where we say we care and then we don't, and 10 times where we actually do care, and ultimately I think I'm with you. You won me over. I think if some crazy EOC community member dug back to the archives, I'm sure they'd find an early discussion about this where I was probably much more in the F it. I'm like, if it's a bad person, I'm not going to listen to it. But then I think you at some point years ago won me over to the idea of art and the artist are separate things, and it's fine if you can't accept that, but there's plenty of times when you can. And I'm generally in the camp of I'm going to accept that. Like I've said, I haven't listened to R. Kelly songs since we found out about his shit, but I still frequently listen to Michael Jackson. So like I am a hypocrite. I accept it, and I listen to what I listen and watch whatever I feel gives me joy, even if the creator is solid.
But my point, I guess, is that in certain circles, if the name is brought up and you're just like, oh man, the work is so brilliant, and they're just like, ew. So like they're judging you based on, but I don't care. I'm just saying that it's just in this kind of climate, it's just it's a hard decision to I guess champion the work of somebody who isn't being championed anymore. And again, I always go back to my favorite. William Burroughs was kind of a despicable human being.
Sure.
In a lot of ways, but I don't think there's ever been a better writer. Any era, any century, but whatever. That's just my opinion. But then if you're just like, yeah, I love this guy, I love this guy's work. Well, yeah, he was a junkie and he killed his wife and was generally not a savory individual. Like, I don't care about that. All I care about, well, I do care about it, but for the majority of my, I guess you can call it worship, it's all those words that he put together that are so amazing. One of the best science fiction writers ever. He doesn't get enough credit for his chops, as a visionary sci-fi writer, but yet there it is. It's there, but whatever. But yeah, I was
Lovecraft.
Well,
perfect
yeah,
example, right?
that's a harder pill to swallow, though.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
know, but like it's again, we've had like it's. I mean, like everyone has to draw the line their own way, right? Like, okay, Moana 2, right? The movie
What about
broke
it?
all kinds of broke all kinds of records, right? This past week, right? It's the Disney company. Walt Disney was
Unapologetic racist, yeah.
unapologetic racist and sexist,
Big time.
and many think anti-Semite as well. That's a little less clear, but he was
And he had a little bit of
absolutely
Stan Lee in him too, taking credit for other people's
so,
work.
But I'm
But
saying,
whatever.
but like Disney's the largest entertainment company in the world, and we all take joy out of it, right? Like we all.
No,
love
I don't
Marvel, we
fucks
all
with the
love
Disney
Star Wars.
on any level.
You fucks with Marvel and Star Wars, and
Well, Marvel by proxy. I don't. Disney never was a Marvel company.
okay, but again,
But
that's
Pearl
my
Muter
point, though.
was the
it's
publisher
all,
of the
it's all-
company. So I mean,
It's all a
Yeah.
conglomeration. Is my point. It's like it's I mean, where do we,
But
again, we
at
don't
no
have to-
time in my life
Yeah.
did I ever get excited at the prospect of a new Disney movie coming out. Like they're like, oh, Lion King, we need to see it. I'm like, I don't want to see that shit. I don't care.
I wasn't trying to micro. I'm saying the world, though, right? Like
The
Moana
world,
just,
right.
$250 million in the first week, right? It's like and
That's
and
good.
Lots of those people would if you polled those people, would you support a racist or they would say absolutely not, right? So it's like, and I realize that it's a little different than what you're saying with Neil Gaiman, where he's like one person creating something. I totally get it, and if I guess to your point, if there are people listening that will find it offensive if we praise Neil Gaiman in the future, all I can say is like, it's free $99. You can get a refund. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Right.
Neil Gaiman's he's never gonna not be one of the greatest comic writers of all time. Like, that's
This is
never
true.
gonna change.
This is very, very true. And I can't understand in what universe that Neil Gaiman can't. Like, how does he have? I don't understand how there would ever be a not a constant flow of eager women willing to be with Neil Gaiman.
Well, that's better than that. These situations are not born out of the necessity for sexual pleasure. They're born out of power. It's a power thing.
Okay, yeah, I don't understand that because that's not me. But I mean,
no, but I'm saying, but generally speaking, these are not. It's not like it's because it's a power trip. It's control and anger and.
But like that you would imagine it's just a never-ending barrage of just like male and female alike.
Right, but what I'm saying is that's neither here nor there. Like people.
That's not enough for you though. But okay.
Right. No, I'm just saying they're uncorrelated. Is my point.
Right.
Yeah.
The correlation of the data.
I don't even know. I mean, I can't even tell you like until you brought it. I don't even know the nuances of the Neil Gaiman.
It's because of the damn blue sky. Because I was and it came by and I'm like, oh, I need to read up on what's going on with Neil. I saw his face. I'm like, oh, okay. So I clicked on it. I was like, ooh. Wow. Okay. So it's.
I see Tori Amos was out speaking about it, right? Like that's I guess that's the latest news.
It's a little bit deeper than I originally realized, and I was just like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to close the door on him because of his unsavory practices. If they alleged unsavory practices.
We learned this during the Me Too movement. At the end of the day, there are a disproportionate number of bad acting men in power, right? That's just a fact. And it's been the fact, and that's been a reality for most of human history, right? And like we say, it's important to bring awareness to it. Hopefully we're making changes. Do I think we'll ever get past that? No, I don't.
Probably not.
Part of it is mammalian, right? Part of it is mammalian. Part of it is that we're animals, but I'm not excusing it anyway. I'm just saying like there is sort of an embedded set of like primal behaviors that we're prone to. And I think it's good for the victims if truth comes to light, but maybe people think it's weak sauce if I'm saying I'm sticking my head in the dirt on this like an ostrich.
No, I think that's the right play where art not where human beings are concerned, but where art's concerned. I think that's the right way to do it because if this man or woman has brought you joy with the things they've created, it's the things they've created that have brought you the joy, not the man and the woman. Like, yes, they were instrumental in the creation of those things, but like children, once they're fostered and they've been born, they take on a life of their own. That art is unique unto itself, and that's the thing that got you in the door, not Neil size.
You know what's lovely?
Ding dong.
This conversation started out of a random mention that ordering a book off from Cheap Graphic Novels.
You're welcome.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
So.
But I do like the blue sky. I like it a lot.
I gotta say, I'm not on it much, so I can't. I mean, it's not that I haven't liked it when I've been on it. Haven't found myself using it very much.
If you have transitioned to the blue sky, look up Dap's on there. I'm on there. I mean, I don't post much. Mostly like daily things, like post a book. I
enjoy your posts.
Yeah.
ESC channel and
yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, there seems like a lot of stuff going on there. One thing that is cool about it right now, and I think normalized too, like all networks, but it does remind me of the early fun days of Twitter when you really could go onto Twitter and through a post or through someone sharing your post or communicating with you could find new people and people would follow you and you follow them back, and it was like very organic, right? Like your network, such as it were, was always growing, or at least for a lot of years, you could grow it just from interaction or finding people with like interests or vice versa. And I feel like that's how Blue Sky is right now, because everyone's coming aboard the platform looking for people to follow. Like everyone's actively looking for new people to which is cool. That's fun and exciting and energizing. Right?
Well, there's never ever been anything on Twitter like a starter pack. It's like, hey, I like purple turtles. Is there a purple turtle starter pack for people who like purple turtles? It's like, oh, look at all these people. They like purple turtles. And I'm going to follow every one of them with the click of a button.
I would respectfully say that's not true, only because
but I don't,
Twitter, we had lists forever that you could use. Like, I mean, because like we had, there's like NFL beat writer lists and comic creator lists. Like there are lists you can follow and share.
Oh, I didn't know, because I dumped Twitter like years and years ago.
Yeah. But nevertheless, I think Blue Sky's doing a nice job, and I hope that it continues to flourish.
Yeah. You have some catching up to do. So
Yeah,
Dap and I made the executive decision to allow you to take 3/4 of this episode and just talk about
Jesus
comics.
Christ.
Yeah, so we're just going to listen to you. We'll interject here and there. So
hey, I mean, listen, I'm not afraid to talk,
Oh, I know this. This is the best.
Yeah. You know what, though? No, I unintentionally, because it's been a couple of weeks, so my list is long. There were a couple things that I didn't plan to be thematic, but they turned out to be. And first up to bat is
Wait. Let me start you off with something, and then you can rant, and then you can go into something. I'll just give you a prompt, and you could just say what you want. West Coast Avengers.
Oh, geez, we're going to start off on a down?
You start from the bottom, and then you
get
go
it over with now.
I really don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I would just say that I love the Avengers, as you know. I have a very sweet spot in my heart for West Coast Avengers. And kind of ironically, even though I love that comic, the OG version, so it's kind of ironic. Maybe they're paying homage to that. I'll just say this. I thought that no matter what I may have thought of the story, which I think in a vacuum, like objectively was fine. Listen, I don't want to be disrespectful. Like, this person's a paid Marvel artist, like they're getting, but I thought the art was an absolute crime. I think that it is not, no one is convincing me that Marvel Comics, whatever their financial situation may or may not be these days, whatever sales may or may not be, I don't know, because we don't pay attention to that stuff anymore. You were never going to convince me that the person they got to do the debut issue of a new comic like that there weren't 1,000 other illustrators that would die at the opportunity to draw a comic for Marvel at whatever page rate you're offering. That would have been more enticing than that. And I'm one and done, and I'm out. And I was like, I mean, that's all I got to say about it. I think that is just, I don't think Marvel's been hot on the art for a while. Like, and I say that on average. Of course, there's great artists there, but I just mean, and I think that they just keep stretching the boundaries, and I'm going to assume it comes down to what they're paying people, but that's no excuse, man. Like, you're the bigger of the big two. Like, step it up, right? Like, CB Cebulski is the fucking editor in chief there because of the years he spent finding artists all across the world to bring into the fold, right? Like most of the artists that of the prior generation that we adore, he befriended at cons or online and brought them into Marvel, which is how he got the cred within the organization. And this is what we're doing now? Like, this is the art that we're getting now? Like, nah, I can't have it. I know the 11 o'clockers is not going to, we're not doing categories, but if we had like worst thing of the year, it would be for me Marvel, like because in no small part because of I think that where their art is these days. But yeah, anyway, I assume you guys didn't love the art either. I see
No,
you all,
didn't
right?
like it at all. No, cover was very nice, but the rest of it,
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot what we were talking about when it may have been Mora and either Justice League Unlimited or Superman, but the amount of detail that Dan put in on these books when Kim barely found any backgrounds in West Coast Avengers was just it was insane.
Yeah. So let's move on. I wanted to give you just a little prompt there because I'm all about the negative.
You love the negative. It's have you starting from the bottom, I guess, and now we're here. You know what, Vince? I will give you an unexpected little boost of Marvel love that's straight into a bullseye for you, though. I, on a whim, because we got a copy of it, read the first issue of All New Venom #1.
Me too.
By Al Ewing, writer. That's part why, because I do like Al Ewing as a writer, and art by Carlos Gomez, who I do think is a good artist, and I've enjoyed his work. And I don't want to go deep on it, but I thought it was a ton of fun, and I thought it looked great. I'm definitely coming back for the second issue. I thought it was well paced. Again, the art looked great. I mean, Gomez is very talented. I love the little whodunit. The premise for those that don't know or care is there's a new Venom. I guess I didn't Venom War, so I can't speak to like what the new status quo is, but there is a new Venom. The narrator implies that there are 4 candidates for who the new Venom is, and it's Robbie Robertson, Luke Cage, Rick Jones, and Madame Mask, and they're all in a courtroom. And it's explicitly stated that one of them is likely the new Venom. I don't know which one it is. I'm going to assume it's Luke Cage, but
why?
I thought it was fun, man. It was fun
You're assuming Luke Cage?
because the Venom is black and gold.
Yeah, I think that's a red herring. I'm pretty well, maybe an easy mark, and I may be wish fulfilling, but I'm thinking it's Rick Jones.
Could be, yeah, could be. Either way, I think to your point, one of the fun things about the issue is, like any good whodunit, they give probable cause for why all 4 of them would be viable candidates to be Venom. Right. So, yeah, I like it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Like I said, it was, and I read it totally on a whim because I'm not manic for the symbiotes like you are, but I got it since we started off with a little negativity on Marvel. I will say props for this
nice.
new launch. So.
They dialed down the grotesque nature of Venom a little bit.
Yeah, this is
a
more
little
like
bit more streamlined. Yeah. It's okay. I'm all right with it.
Yeah. Did you read it, Dap, or you didn't check it out yet? Dappy?
Not yet. I have it. It's queued up. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
All right.
It's far more slick and polished than I would ever have thought that a symbiote book would be. But that's okay. It's different.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm with it. But what I was saying at the beginning here is that I ended up thematically reading 2 graphic novels in my 2-week hiatus that are effectively autobiocomics of creators that we very much enjoy in different ways, and very different experiences. So I'll tell you what the 2 are, and then we'll talk about their differences and similarities. The first is Terrace, which is written and drawn by Noah Van Sciver, and the other is Woman and Man Plus, which is written and drawn by Craig Yo, former guest of the show, and we frequently mentioned him over the years. I'll start with Maple Terrace is far more straightforward, like infinitely more straightforward. It is Ethan has become not Ethan. Jesus, I did the Freudian slip. Noah has become for me someone who in this year or two, who I will read anything that they put out because I think it's going to have value to it. Right? Like he's done of all the things that I've read, and I have tried to catch up on a lot of his stuff the last few years. There's always something I take away from it. Regardless of the subject matter. And I think one of his talents is taking subjects that maybe on paper wouldn't be super interesting, and makes them interesting, right? And certainly his book about the history of the Mormon faith, which again, could have been dry AF, but he turned it into, I think, an awesome experience. And so this was, like I said, it's a biographical look at his time growing up in Jersey, represent. And it's this fascinating thing because it's a story of him and his family, and they were living in pretty much abject poverty. But at the same time, it's a story about his and his brothers and his dad's love for comic books at a time when it was the 90s boom and bust. And so as a poor kid who loved comics, he also thought, like many people at the time, that owning comics could be a potential life-changing financial outcome, right? Like everyone was speculating, the speculator market. And he was a little kid during that. And it's just really, I guess it's a few months of his life at that point. But it starts off, dude, with him being woken up by a roach crawling over his face in his bedroom. It's hot. I thought that was such a stunning, way to portray that he was poor. You know what I mean? And his brothers are in the same room, and he has to sleep on the floor because they don't have a bed for him. And he begs to let them sleep in the bed with him, and they're like, no. And so then he falls back asleep, and another roach walks by him, and I was just like, damn. And then it's like Ethan's in it as is his other brother, and I guess his dad had a pretty rough relationship with his dad. His dad was a strict Mormon, but they were very poor. He struggled to make a living. And Ethan was a really weird kid. He wasn't just a nerd like many of us as a youngster. Like he wasn't particularly athletic or anything, but he was also into comics, and he was also a a place like in Jersey where there just weren't such things. So he was just a total outcast, but he was still a pretty happy kid, always trying to find his place. And this chronicles that experience, but also with a bit of an adventure where he's always trying to, because they're poor, he's always trying to come up on comics to read, whether it be I guess his brothers and his dad bought their own comics, and they never wanted to share them with him because it was the speculator boom, right? So nobody wanted what?
The poor kid.
Yeah. So there's one point where he wants to read Spawn because someone tells him about Spawn and Spawn #4 and the ice cream killer, right? And he's like, oh, that sounds crazy. And his parents were real protective, but he ended up finding a copy and accidentally ruins it, through a mishap. And he's freaking out because it's not just he ruined a comic, but he ruined Spawn #4, which everyone in this moment was convinced was going to be worth millions of dollars. So this poor kid has to figure out what to do, and he ends up trying to find a way to basically replace the Spawn #4. And he replaces it by but he basically comes across comics from a bully. And the bully happened to have in his stack another Spawn #4, and then the bully wants to beat him up, and they have the classic high school or middle school moment where he has to meet the kid, behind this building where they're going to have a fight, and the whole school's there to watch him get his ass beat. Just almost like Wonder Years meets the speculator boom with a splash of indie biocomic vibe. It's just a really fascinating experience. He draws himself. It's a very cartoony look. It's not totally out of line with his normal illustration style, but he really does, I think, play up the caricature nature of this. He draws himself with this huge, afro hair, really wild and crazy, big old fro and glasses. And, it's just very heartwarming at the end of the day because, it seems like Noah didn't have the most stable life experience, but dude seems hella based these days.
Yeah.
He's a responsible human being. He's super prolific. He's very polite and very friendly, and he's got a family. So I give him much props for, coming up out of basically nothing and making the most of his life. So it's just a wonderful, heartwarming experience, and it's a short book. It's I don't even think it's 200 pages. Let me see if it's like 160 pages, give or take. Full color. Most of the pages are single panel or 3-panel grid. It's great stuff. When you're getting a Noah Van Sciver book, it's going to be good, but seeing such an intimate look into his life, his childhood, was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I got you coming.
Yeah.
But the thing that amazes me, not only the skill behind, that the man possesses, but it just seems like he's never at a loss for subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Fonte Bukowski, and then we'll do the Grateful Dead thing, and then maybe we'll pivot and do the Mormon book. And,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little autobio stuff with Maple
Paul
Terrace.
Bunyan,
Like,
little
it's like crazy. He just, it seems like he doesn't deliberate very long on subject matter. He just goes for it and then just works it out.
Yeah.
It's great. I love the man's proficiency and the rate at which we get new stuff from him.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And then the Yo book is a very, very different experience.
You think?
This book is published by Clover Press, but there's some really. But I did want to mention it because it's a pretty fascinating thing, all in all. Right now, what I can't figure out is what I would feel about this book if I didn't know Craig Yo and didn't have a window into the stuff that he puts in this book, right? Because this book, by its own description, is a wildly surreal autobiographical story of Yo losing his love, his country, and some say his sanity as he struggles to reinvent himself. And this was effectively his way of self-coping or being self-therapeutic in dealing with a very traumatic phase of his life, which if you were friendly with him on the social media, as we are, we experienced it in real time. You know, Craig was a wide open book during the whole thing. He and his wife and child left the United States to go live in Europe, and it was going well for a while. And then his wife left him. She fell in love with someone else, and it devastated him. And he was very punishingly and open about it, and sharing it as it was happening. And I remember really feeling for him because we do know him, right? And I was like thinking how devastating that must be for him. And it hit him hard, understandably. And it ended up where he then moved on to another country, and his ex-wife and his child are stayed where they were. And this book is effectively his dealing with it. And I say it's effectively his dealing with it because this was a fascinating thing to experience, but I don't want to say it was a fascinating thing to read because it's not really something you can read. The vast majority of it is wildly surreal illustrations, evocative of graffiti or street art. And I gotta be honest with you, like if I didn't know going in because of the description, this because of the intro saying it's about his journey with all of this, I wouldn't know that from reading this. Like the pages inside, to me, do not have any kind of linear narrative that in any way touches on the issues that he says he's illustrating to work through, if you follow me. So like it's a look into his mind as he communicates visually through all this, but it is in no way from my vantage like clear as you're experiencing the book that that's what it's about. So
totally get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I give him a lot of credit. It's, as I understand it, it's the first sequential comic work he's done in nearly 50 years, which is remarkable. I didn't realize that he hadn't, I guess he was pretty prolific making comics in the 70s, but then we've had him on the show, but most people know him from his time as a creative director at a bunch of places, including the Henson Company and Nickelodeon, and then obviously he spent a lot of years with Yo Books, curating as an editor and publisher, lots of interesting work. But he hasn't created comics in many, many decades, and so kudos to him for getting this out there. Kudos to him for hopefully being in a better place now, which I think he is, at least better than he was a year or two ago. But it is a strange experience, and it's one that I don't know. Like, if you don't know Craig Yo and you read this solicit and you thought, oh, I remember that dude from back in the day, like this would be cool. I don't know what the experience is going to be like. It
has meaning. I'm sure the work has meaning. The lines have there are some kind of a connection, but they're primarily with the author and the
precisely
artist.
Right. Well said. Very well said. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it like an art book, then it's pretty neat. I mean, his illustrations are many of them are very fascinating to look at. Right. Like so it's in and of itself, just as pieces, it's worthwhile. And then obviously it's worthwhile because of the cathartic nature of it for him. But yes, as a narrative, it's not a narrative book. So
Right.
Understand that going in if you're on the fence about whether to grab it.
I worked with a guy, this is going back at least 20 years, that was employed by Craig Yo at Yo Studios. And by the time I met him, the Yo Studios part was in the past. And I said, oh man, that must have been awesome. That must have been like so cool to work at such a creatively like vibrant studio doing all these different things and animation and books and advertising and marketing, all this stuff. He's like, it was the best job I ever had and it was the worst job I ever had. I know it sounds trite, but he said, I never ever knew going in what to expect on a daily basis.
Oh, because it was like up and down.
Yeah, it was just so chaotic. And he said creatively it was a challenge because I'd have to wear one hat on Monday, and Tuesday I'm in a different suit and hat, and like Wednesday I'm expected to do something different, and then Thursday I got to go back to that first thing. And meanwhile, the personality of Craig Yo mixed in with all of that made it a very unique experience. But I have a ton of Yo Studio stuff, posters and yeah, I got loads of them. I don't know what I'm ever going to do with them, but yeah.
Yeah, man. So
I love Craig.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's an older gentleman now. I mean, he's in mid to late 70s, right? So
he's unique.
For sure.
Yeah. I'll let you in on the one book that I didn't mention in my cheap graphic novels box.
Novel?
It was an utter joy to read, to experience. It's a gift. And it's from an outfit that has given us many gifts this past year. It's from New York Review Comics, Jason.
Oh, that's our spot.
Yep. This is from Sugiura Shigeru. It was obviously and expectedly translated by Ryan Holmberg, who provides a wonderful and very deep framing sequence that sets up the work and the author and what happened before and what happened once the work was published and where the author went after. And it's just amazing the knowledge that Holmberg brings to all of these manga translations that he's been doing. It is called Ninja Sarutobi Sasuke. It is amazing. This friggin' book. Do you have it?
I'm having it's arriving. I haven't received it.
Okay. Black and white. Let's see, almost 300 pages around there. No, like 250, almost 250 pages. The manga was created for children. Okay, and as you read this, it is a very, very telling example of how advanced Japanese children were in 1969. And how much in their dust American children are. Because there is a lot of dialogue in this book. And if you put this in front of a child today in the States, they'd be like, I'm not reading that. It's comics. Comics shouldn't have all those words. Like, this is crazy. But this was, in 1969, an extremely well-selling book. It sold like over with the numbers in the essay by Holmberg, and it was a hit. But so created for children, and it's mostly gag manga, but it is created. It's like short attention span theater. You'll have a sequence that begins and Shigeru sets it up, and then maybe a page or two later, that incident or event is over, and something else happens that lasts 2 or 3 pages. And then, do you want to know how I became a ninja? Like Sasuke will talk directly to the reader. He's like, here's how I became a ninja. Yeah. But now you're thinking traditional ninja, right? You know, smoke bomb, disappear,
Yeah,
martial.
Shokusuji style.
No. Sasuke he has all of that, but he's also a bit of a magician because he can become invisible. He has the ability to how do I even put this? It's in the narrative treats it in a way where reality melts away. To anyone that Sasuke is trying to befuddle, reality just melts away and he becomes something else. Like he could become a cow or a creature with 17 eyes and tentacles or a giant ape. Like it's not your traditional ninja workings. He has a little bit of wizard in him, a little bit of magician. It's not really explained all that well how he can do these things. It's just taken for face value that, oh, you are Sarutobi Sasuke. You're the greatest ninja ever. Yes, that's me. And it's like, you could do these things. All right. But so we're shown how he became a ninja. And in the process, there are sequences where he's like, okay, I gotta get this guy, or I gotta save this document and bring it back to my master. And the environment is fairly typical, the woods and paths and mountains and flora and fauna. And then all of a sudden you'll get 3 pages where people are peeking up out of the side of the panel and everything's massively rendered with pointillism, and you get a dancer from a dancing couple from the United States in the late 50s, and then you'll get Batman shows up, crazy ass creatures mixed with human beings. There's things floating in the sky. Like, it just, like, reality breaks at certain points in this book. And Sugiura was a fan of pop culture, but American pop culture. So he loved Westerns. And at some points in this book, Sasuke's doing something, and then you are thrown headfirst into a Cowboys and Indians fight. And you get, Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn. And then it goes into, John Wayne makes an appearance, and Buffalo Bill. It's crazy. There's a lot of instances where characters will start singing. And I found this fascinating, that Holmberg actually collaborated with Sugiura many, many, many decades after the fact. So he translated the songs that these characters were singing. And I guess he figured that no current reader is going to connect with these songs or even have a basis of understanding about why these songs were important or what they mean. So he just changed the lyrics. And some of the characters in this will sing Safety Dance. or they'll sing Yes is Roundabout. And there's very early in it, Sasuke comes upon a couple of ne'er-do-wells, and he goes, "You want me to show you a trick?" And he takes a cloth and he makes their dinner and their sake disappear. And the guys are like, "Whoa, that was cool. How do we get this stuff back?" And Sasuke's like, "Oh, you just sing that Get Back song." So the guys are sitting next to their empty plates, and they're like, "Get back to where you once belong." It's the craziest thing. I'm reading this book, and I was so fucking giddy with every single page. Like, it's just, and it keeps going. Like, you would think that, I will be honest, you cannot read like 40 pages of this straight, because it will break your brain. You have to read it like tastefully. Read 10, 20 pages, put it down, go do the dishes or walk the dogs, come back, read a couple more pages because it's just too bizarre. Like a lot of this, there's a giant orca, anthropomorphic whale monster being accosted by two characters that combined into floating breasts. If you got an explanation for that, then, there are dinosaurs that just pop up randomly. The Metaluna mutant from this island, Earth, appears like a clipper ship. What? and I love it because there's really no language that can describe the whys and the wherefore. Like, why does this happen? What is going on? It's one of those things where you just surrender. You surrender to the image. There's a luchador that just pops into the proceedings at one point. It's okay. And in the very same story, there are cowboys and Indians, fighting, and giant frogs, and happy little people, and superheroes. Like, this book is off the wall crazy. He joins with a lord, Lord Sanada Yukimura, and he pledges to protect this lord along with 9 other people. But there are ne'er-do-wells too, and their names are awesome. The Tokugawa ne'er-do-wells are awesome. There's one guy called Bat Brat, 5 Yen Croquette Suke, Kid Ball Walker, Fun Face, Zaymon, Veggie Salad. What? The joy that I derived from this thing. I can't, if there was a chart to measure it, I would be way off the charts on this. And the best thing about it is, one of the best things is that you learn through Ryan Holmberg all of the pertinent details of why this thing was created. I guess Sasuke, of course, is like a mythological figure in Japanese pop culture, where very popular, and in the early Shigeru had Sugiura had a run with Sasuke, Ninja Sasuke, and it was very, very popular in, let's say, early 50s. I'm looking here. And then he did other things, and he had a wonderful career, but then he just decided to, you know what? I'm just going to take a break. I'm just going to not retire, but I'm just going to take a break and walk my dogs and watch TV and have fun. And then they coaxed him back to Ninja Sasuke, and that's what this is. This is a redrawing, retelling, reimagining of a lot of the stuff that he had done decades earlier, and it's one of 3 Sugiura books that were translated in the United States. That's it. 3 works. One of the other being Last of the Mohicans, which was also translated by Ryan Holmberg. Do you know for what company he did that? Picture Box. Yes. So I don't know. I do know it's in the essay. I know the other one, but it's neither. Doran Chibimaru Le Petit Ninja, which is Editions IMHO in 2007, I think. That's the other one that was. But there's a scarcity of Sugiura Shigeru books in the States, and hopefully this will turn it around, and people will read it and be like, "Holy crap, this is bonkers crazy." I am giddy with just joy of comics and the lighthearted antics of, like, people get their head cut off in this. On some occasions, it's like, whoops. Because he is a ninja, right? And such things happen. But it's like, oh, sorry. And, but Sasuke always tries to make it right. and he is very capable at what he does, hence his legendary status. So if you're in the mood for fun comics, like, you don't have to bring anything to the table with this book at all. I would recommend reading the Holmberg essay first, and then flipping the book over and reading the Shigeru Sugiura actual manga, and then you'll get things will make sense a little bit more. Like, if you go into this blind and, you try and try and parse some of the details, like, why does the world just go away? And all of a sudden, giant men's heads are on the same physical plane with this snake creature, and then this baby looking creature with a nice, pretty woman next to it, and they don't seem to threaten each other. It's just weird. It kind of makes sense. So from New York Review Comics, Ninja Sarutobi Sasuke by Sugiura Shigeru. It is amazing. It's just so amazing. It's $24.95. It should be on everybody's shelf. Just get it. Trust me.
Sounds amazing.
Yep. Jason's going to be reading, he's going to be like, whoa, that was dope. I didn't understand it, but it was dope. Where is him?
That's a good question.
Where did he go?
I thought I was the one that did that. Okay.
Oh, maybe he has it on mute or something. Whatever. He doesn't listen to what I say anyway. In a couple weeks, he'll be like, yo, I got something cool. This is the ninja thing. And I'll be like, dude, I talked about that. What do you got there?
This is a bummer that he's not here, because this is pretty much for him. I read the oh wait, what's going on in the text channel here? Oh, he said 1 sec. Okay. Technical difficulties, folks. Only 959 episodes. So, this is this blew me away. I don't know why it took me so long, and I know we were getting the image previews, so I should have been reading it from Jump, and I did flip through the first issue, and I figured, all right, I'm gonna come back to this. But this is The Forged. It's created by Greg Rucka and Eric Troutman, who are the storytellers. Art by Mike Henderson. He is also listed as a co-creator. Colors by Nolan Woodard. I read the first 3 trades, so the first 9 issues, 3 issues to a trade. The first trade was pretty much all set up. It's about a team of soldiers, 5 soldiers. Team leader Victory, Crazy Joe handles weapons, Engineer Hap, Pusher is the medic, and Harpo is the sharpshooter. All women. They're all clones. All of the soldiers for the Eternal Majesty, the Empress. All of her soldiers are basically clones of the Empress. All tweaked ever so slightly. Different complexions, different eye color, hair color. But Scimitar 3 is the team that we're focused on with this first book. And the mission was to go find a black box from a downed starship. And that mission doesn't necessarily go according to plan. And in the second book, they end up back home. I'm not going to explain how they get home, but they're back home. And this was when my world just blew up. My eyes were extremely open with this second volume, with these issues here, because we get to see the home world where these women are from, and I just
packages. Sorry.
hey, there he is.
Okay.
So while they're on this planet, while they're back home, the Empress seems to be kind of smitten with Victory. She's kind of high on the team leader. The rest of the team dealing with their downtime, doing what they have to do.
Oh, you talking about Forged?
I am talking about the Forge, motherfucker.
Yes, let's go.
Oh God.
So basically, Jason, I was setting it up so that the first book, all set up, it was fantastic. I love the whole idea of this team in space. They were going after the black box. The mission kind of goes awry, and in the second volume, they end up back on their homeworld, and there is a this is where some intrigue gets introduced, and some politics start to play a part. But there are assassination attempts. There are assassinations that take place. There are. It's just I could not stop as I was reading these three trades. It's the kind of book where, like, it's weird. It's silly to say it, but it's the kind of story between the words, the art, the way everything, the tech in this world, in this future, and how people interact. Like, this is the kind of story that it makes me feel like anything is possible. I read this and I was just like, why can't this be? I was amazed with the second volume because of how we see them interact when they're not, like, on a mission. And then the third volume, they're back in space, but with two other teams, and that's where you start to see some friction with some of the other teams and how Victory treats her crew differently than a lot of the other team leaders.
She loves them too much.
She does, and that can be dangerous, or it could be a benefit. But either way, it's not the way every other team operates, and that causes some friction with another particular team leader. Crazy Joe is the second in command, so if something happens to Victory, Joe's got to step up, and something may actually happen to Victory in the third book. I'm not going to say more, but it's the watching this relationship and seeing it play out, and how everybody works with one another, and then it looks as though the Empress may not be as transparent as not the Empress ever really was, but there's an ulterior motive there. She put things in motion, and you think she may be on the side of the angels, maybe not. And I cannot wait for the fourth trade. I don't know if I don't know what issue they're up to, or if they took a break in between trades. But yeah, these three books are just blew me away. Like I said, I don't know. I'm kicking myself for waiting so long, but I am glad that I read them the way I did, because even though there's only 3 issues in a collection, I think reading them like that definitely helps. I mean, every issue is jam packed front to back, but I don't know if waiting between issues would have been the right move for me with this particular story. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for the next volume. Henderson's art is that it's
best he's ever looked, dude. Best he's ever
dude.
Looked, sure.
The women are sexy AF, and just I mean, the colors are just amazing. It's such an amazing story. I'm super pro sci-fi, obviously, but that anybody who knows me realizes that. But the way that this what Greg and Eric are telling, and then with Mike's art, it's a fantastic book. It's definitely going to be in my class for somewhere. It's in one of the slots for sure. It's fantastic, and it's oversized. Physically, it's a larger than your traditional comic book. But it's fantastic. Like I said, the tech, everything is deliberate. The way that even when you see, because Harpo, she's mute, she can't speak. She's got almost like a Skeets that does the talking for her. and also it helps her with being a sharpshooter. But watching her reactions and her expressions, especially when she has a crush on somebody at the armory. Yeah, I
mean, what a perfect code combat name for a mute too, right? Harpo.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
It's an absolute. I don't know. I mean, I know Jason was reading it pretty much from jump. I don't know who else may be, but if you're not, you're doing yourself a disservice. You really, if you enjoy sci-fi, if you enjoy strong women, if you enjoy like that political intrigue, if you just like a well-drawn book, then by all means, The Forged is
Yep.
should definitely be on your list.
Warms my heart because every time I've read this, and I just read the third arc myself like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, and I thought every time I read it, I'm like, damn, this is Dap's book. He should love this book. I'm always like, this is his kind of thing. But I mean, we all got so much to read. It's hard to read everything that people think you should read. So I'm glad that I'm glad you liked it as much as I thought you would like it.
Oh,
and coincidentally, I also didn't think Vince would read it or like it. So I never pushed him to read
Good
it.
judge of character.
It's Rucka, so yeah,
It's Rucka, and it's strong women. So it's like it's two strikes against.
It's saltpeter right there.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So, well, you're not you like Rucka the human being, but you've been open. He doesn't generally.
I think he's very talented, yes, but I think he's also very formulaic in his approach.
Well, I was going to say, I was actually just about to make that point. I think Rucka is he has a type, right? He generally writes comics about strong female protagonists with a different setting, and this book is that too. But as Dap so eloquently illustrated, I think this book has a ton of really interesting and well executed, thanks to the visuals, sci-fi and fantasy elements that I think give it that little nudge over to what you might be used to with a Rucka book. But again, you've got an unending. We all have an unending supply of things we want to read.
This is true.
True,
Dap.
True. But Dap, the Empress, I've actually liked her character. I'm like, I would like to meet. Like, I've thought about putting her in the commission rotation because I'm like, ooh, she's fine. She's crazy.
Yes, that's a good one.
Crazy though, yeah. So nice. That warms my heart.
Love it.
Warms my heart, Vince.
That's a good thing. What else do we have from you?
Did you guys, in my absence, did you talk about Rocketfellers?
We did.
Actually, yeah. When Mario was here, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you don't have to rehash, but did you guys like it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, yeah, we all gave it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it had like a little Bionic 6 element to it, Dap, which I thought.
Yeah. I can see that.
I thought the art was crazy. I mean, I didn't read a lot of Manipul because he, mostly did DC and mostly I remember him mostly from the Flash.
That Flash, yeah.
Yeah, so I know what his art looks like because I've seen his art sales and I've seen commissions, but I hadn't read many sequentials of his, and my God, I think the art is just triumphant in all ways. I thought it was just so beautiful, that book. Yeah, I really love that issue.
Wow, so you're top of the scale with us in terms of your appreciation of this book. Because, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was well put together, visually stunning, but I think it's low end in the Ghost Machine books.
I was just about to say it's my favorite Ghost Machine books.
Right, well, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
So
engaging as hell. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I know Vince isn't reading this. Dap, I don't know if you are. Are you reading Helen of Wyndhorn?
No, I was letting it pile up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's finished now. It was a 6-issue miniseries. It's Tom King and Bilquis Evely, and unusual for Tom, it's a Dark Horse book. But it just finished up. I think the 6th issue came out a couple weeks back. I finally finished it, and I mean, since you haven't read it yet, I won't go too deep into it. But I will just say that since we're on this discussion of these artists that are above the fray, Bilquis Evely is fucking incredible, dude. Like, her art is fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm looking at these books and thinking, how does she have the time to do this? Like, it's like, think of how we started this episode. Like, there are people getting paid to do comics like that. And then I'm looking at what Bilquis is drawing, and it's so intricate and illustrative and gorgeous, and like every panel tells a story, and like, oh my god, like everybody in the book is beautiful by design. It's just it's like, I just think her work is stunning, dude. I mean, God, I could look at her. I wish she was a little more prolific, because I could look at her work all the time. And we've seen her in other things. I mean, she worked with Tom on Supergirl, most notably. But I just thought this book was just crazy, crazy good. And I think we first heard of her right from didn't she do that? She did that not Dynamite. She did the book with God. The blaxploitation book, remember? Shaft.
She did Shaft with that David Walker wrote.
Yeah, with David Walker, that first volume. Yeah. That was when I first heard of her. But she's come a long way from that. I thought that book looked great too, but she's gotten so much more intricate with her style. Very much looks like Quapel to me, like same school. But man, oh man, just this book was gorgeous and just super fun. I really think you would enjoy it, Vince, because it's basically like Tom took the idea of what if Robert E. Howard wasn't just a prolific fantasy writer, but he actually could jump into another dimension where all that stuff was happening and he was the hero. And that's kind of the premise. The book centers Helen, the titular character Helen is a 16-year-old whose father was a very talented writer in his own right, but committed suicide and was always struggled with alcohol. And she's 16, basically living in a tenement. She's dropped out of school. She's a drunk herself. And her grandfather, the Barnabas Cole, who I introduced myself as at the start of the episode, he is crazy wealthy, and he has this giant estate called Wyndhorn, and it makes like Downton Abbey look like an outhouse. And he hires a governess to go and find his granddaughter and bring her back to Wyndhorn, to rehabilitate her and whatnot. And essentially, it starts off where she's the problem child, because she's she's suffered and endured a lot of trauma, and she is in herself, even at 16, an alcoholic. But the governess doesn't give up on her and keeps working with her. And then she quickly discovers that her grandfather is this dude, right? Like he's not just a rich old man who wrote books, but he's in fact in this other world, Othan, the Conqueror. He's himself the action hero, like the Conan of that world. And eventually he gets her to come with him on these adventures, and she becomes an adventurer herself. Just a super, super fun book that pulls at the strings of, if you have any appreciation for Robert E. Howard or anything like that, I think you really enjoy this book. And dare I say, it's a very pulpy book by design because of the subject matter. So yes, I enjoyed a pulp book. So there you go.
Nice.
Another reason why I think you'd like it, Vince. But
I'll get it.
Yeah. The art is dumb, ridiculously gorgeous. Like it's dumb, dude. Like
it is.
It's stupid. Like it's stupid to me that there's people on the planet that can draw like this, and then every comic doesn't look like this. Because
can you say dumb again?
It's dumb. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. But
it's so stupid.
If she ever has a commission list, I'm on it like a bonnet. I got it.
She physical or digital?
She's physical. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm surprised you don't have something from her already.
She's a cutie too.
Well, I don't usually buy the DC art, and so not usually my thing. But
you hate her.
I love the DC. I love DC 100,000 times more than Marvel these days. But
I gotta agree with you. Yeah, for the most part, I gotta agree.
I still don't buy the art.
Nice. Speaking of art, I'm gonna set up the stage for this book, because this book came out in 22.
Okay.
And I pre-ordered it. It arrived. I took one look at the cover and I put it on the stack.
Wow.
And I haven't
the cover, huh?
I haven't returned to it until this weekend. And I was going through. I've been trying to purge my backlog of books.
Okay.
Instead of buying new things, I should read the stuff I already own. So I was going through stacks, and this bubbled to the top, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll read this. And I paged through it, and I was like, hot damn, look at this art. And I'm looking at the front, the cover. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoever the was in the graphic design department at Seven Seas, or if the artist himself decided that this was going to be the cover, they made a very, very bad mistake. Because the cover art, I'm going to be blunt. The cover art is very weak. The palette used is lackluster. The drawing, while good, is obscured by the color art. The typography for the title of the book is lame. And
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln.
And the subtitle, the book is called Our Torsos Align. It's subtitled Human Monster Love. And I think it's actually Human X Monster Love, but you don't say the X. That I think there are a lot of factors that worked against this book hitting hard, because once you open the cover, I'm putting my fingers on the cover and I'm opening it. There is an image of Nike, one of the characters within, it's an anthology. One of the characters within this anthology, the image is breathtaking. It's like, why the fuck? If this image is good enough to use on your title page, why the fuck didn't you put it on the cover? Why did you go with this weak sauce image? It's just bad. And even the graphic design, the positioning of the title is bad. And then they spot varnished it. Like, okay, that's like shining shit for this cover. Why did you do it?
Heard.
But anyway, Our Torsos Align, Human Monster Love by Ro Shumiyoshi, and it's from Seven Seas. Like I said, it's an anthology. I think love should be in quotes for this, because it is the interaction between humans and other than humans. Where you would expect love meaning sex, it's not that. It is characters which find themselves in situations and shared experiences and emotional connections where they may feel something other than friendship for each other. I will explain. With it being an anthology, the cool thing about this is the very first story is called Naptum. And it is about a young lady named Hannah. And I'm looking at another image that's facing the black and white art. Like, there are a number of color images that lead off this book. And there's a color image that faces the black and white image that also could have been a wonderful cover, but they went with this crap. But anyway, so there's a young lady named Hannah, and she's had a rough go of it lately. A romantic connection that didn't work out. The guy was married and she never knew. And so she's like, fuck it. I'm going to go have some me time. And so where do you go for me time? The Amazon rainforest. So she's in a small boat in the Amazon rainforest, and the guide is like, hey, this is cool, let's go, and she's somehow, I'll leave it up to the reader, she's somehow tossed from the boat. And the guide loses her, and she's in the water, and she's clinging to wood or a floating thing, and she's spotted from the air by something. And this thing sees her blonde hair, and so it descends and saves her. And it is the character's name is Naptum, the title character, and he is an anthropomorphic bird.
Okay.
So put yourself in her position. You are rescued by this creature, and the creature is not unattractive. It has beautiful, big, soulful eyes. But the weird thing about it is it does have a beak, but the beak is hidden behind lips. Like
Wait, what?
Yeah, when the mouth is closed, you can't tell it has a beak. It has like a nose type structure without nostrils, but when it opens its mouth, the beak kind of extends out. And she's curious about that. So she goes over and she's touching his face and she's putting her fingers in his mouth. She's like, how does that work? Like, what is all that about? And she's extremely tired and grateful for being saved. And she kind of falls asleep in his arms. And while she does so, she buries her face in his chest and she's just smelling him. All of these things contribute to the ritual of marriage for these bird people, and she doesn't know it. And so the Naptham goes above and beyond for this woman. Like, he's head over heels in love. He thinks this is my woman, and I will bring her fish and I will protect her. And she's like, dude, I'm not. No, I'm human. Like, this is not going to work out. And it just so happens that Naptham is the son of the chief of the tribe. Wouldn't you know it? And the chief is like, fuck this. You are not bringing this human into our fold, to the point. And he lets on that maybe he has more experiences with humans than he would like others to believe. And it's hinted at the end of the story that maybe you'll see that story somewhere along the line in the future. And the cool thing about it being an anthology, the book ends with that story of how the chief had an interaction with a female human. But anyway, so the chief is just like, no, I'll take you. You're not going to corrupt my boy. You're not doing it. I'll take you out of the tribe and leave you somewhere. And he leaves her in the path of a giant snake. Like, not intentionally, he puts her in the woods, but yeah, she's at a loss, and this massive snake comes and tries to, make her lunch, and she's saved by Naptham. Push comes to shove, they fall in love, and the father's not hearing about it, but he allows it to a point because she really does love him. And the thing about this book is just loaded with the feels. Every story's like brimming with emotion. And that's why I enjoy that. And great drawing besides. And then at the end, their relationship, and Hannah's like a take no prisoners type person. Like, if she's feeling something, she's going to let you know it. Very rough around the edges. But in the bookend story, like, they've settled in. They're in love. And Dad's accepted it. And he kind of lets on that he may have been in a similar predicament with another human woman before. Yeah, it's pretty great stuff.
Repeat offender.
It's pretty great stuff. There's a story about a sailor, or it's not a sailor, a fisherman who encounters a mermaid. And she teaches him how to conduct himself around other people. I guess fishermen are solitary individuals, and they don't communicate much. And so this young man was raised in a house where Dad was a fisherman, and Dad died, and he got the boat. And so Dad didn't speak too much, so he doesn't speak too much. And the people that are around him, he doesn't communicate a lot with. And one of his goals is to, like, flood the market with his fish. He wants that big payday, but he hasn't done it. So he encounters this mermaid who washes up on his boat, and she shows him where all the fish are. And he goes out in a time where he shouldn't have gone out to fish. And the mermaid rescues him, but so do his friends, his fisherman friends that he's kind of distant with, but they're just like, why didn't you ever open up to us? Like, he's like, I didn't know how to. So she teaches him how to make friends. There's another long story about these artificial organisms that were designed to fight these invaders, and the creator of these artificial organisms takes on a motherly role. So there's love, but it's not like a physical sexual thing. It's more of like a parental love where you want to see your offspring do well. But the hook with these artificial organisms is that they don't live beyond 20. So the mother's like, I can't do it. I can't see my creations evolve into these almost living things and then they die. Like, I just can't do it. But I mean, there's a solution, or maybe. And you know, then there's another. I don't want to get too deep. There's another story about this man and woman who are sent on an expedition to a red planet, which is not Mars, because Mars is mentioned, and they find these crystals that have crystalline properties, but they also have organic properties like meat. And this guardian of these crystals enters the picture, and he's just a torso, he with wings like Nike, and there are very strong emotions. This book is really good, very unexpected. Every story is different. I have to say, Naptum is the best of the stories, just because it's the most accessible. I think it's the most emotional out of all of them. Everybody can connect with an anthropomorphic bird creature, which is handsome, you know, falling. It's King Kong, right? It's
right,
shades of King Kong. And there's a scene in there where he's examining her and he pulls up her shirt and she's like, whoa! You know what I mean? Just like Fay Ray and King Kong. But I thought this thing was great. The illustration style, I don't want to. I find a lot of William Messner's Lobes in it, in some of the facial features and the body animation and stuff. But I thought it was great. Our Torsos Align from Seven Seas. If you see it online or in a bookstore, look past the cover. You got to do that with this book because the cover is El Stinko. But once you open the cover and you get into it, it's like, man, this guy can draw like a monster. And there's bonus stuff that goes on for days. The stories end, and then you get a bonus story for almost every chapter in the book. And then you get artist notes, what he was thinking when he was creating these characters, and what plans he may have for these characters, blah, blah, blah. Very good book. It's $24.99, and it is, let's see how many pages. It's over 300 pages, so you get a lot of, yeah. It's good stuff. Our Torsos Align, Ro Sumiyoshi from Seven Seas. Get it.
Love the furry manga.
And it's not, well, I mean, feathery manga. But okay. I ordered it. I ordered it thinking, you know, this is going to be some sexy time. But there's no nudity at all in the book. None.
Lost me.
No. It's all about emotion, Jason. It's all about emotion. Yes, the love of very different forms. There's a story about a guy that loves flowers so much. There's an anthropomorphic iris. From the neck up, it's an iris, but from the, you know, it's a very curvaceous woman, and it's a weird. It's one of the only. It's the only story that is downbeat and ends on a dark note. Like all of the stories are optimistic, aside from that one. So I don't understand why that was put in there, but I guess maybe for contrast. But yeah, good stories, good stuff. I judged a book by its cover, and it was shame on me.
Never do it.
Cover's poop.
Never.
It's just wrong. It's not the right cover. All right. We have it in your travels. And hey, you people, remember, you want to save on stuff like that? You know where to go.
Yeah.
cheapgraphicnovels.com. You save all day long. Omnibus edition, Mighty Manga, trade paperbacks, OGNs, art books, all that stuff slashed to the bottom. Rock solid prices. Place your order. Respond to the email confirmation. 11 o'clock comics sent me. Get free shipping on your next order. It could not be more simple. Right? Wherever you listen to this, please leave us a review or a star thing, because it matters. And check out our Patreon page. We haven't been hard selling the Patreon, just because, you know, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. $5 gets you an extra episode and behind the scene episode. $10 gets you all that and access to the Slack. Simple.
Thanks.
Super simple. I don't think there's a need to go deep on this, hence the fact that it's my In Your Travels. But I'm trying to get caught up on my Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers from Fantagraphics, it's a lot of F's. They're not making it easy for me because the release of these books is wonky as hell. Like, they weren't released 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I swear they were released 4, 5, 4, 6, 5, and then 1. Like, I don't know. Dap, are you with me on this? Like, it's just weird how these books are.
When you said you were reading the one in the 21st century, I pulled it away from the other 3 that I have sitting here, and I looked at the spine, and I was like,
Number 5.
This is volume 5.
It's so weird. Right. But production value, like, holy crap. Out the wazoo. Die cut, cover. Of course, we're talking Gilbert Shelton, Paul Mavrides, and Dave Sheridan. This is the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers in the 21st century and other follies. What I will say about this is, one story in here is a conceptual setup for the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers that's currently running on Tubi. The events aren't the same, but any you guys watching that?
Yeah, I'm a few episodes in.
Okay. Woody Harrelson.
Pete Davidson and John Goodman.
Yeah. Am I the only person on the planet that thinks Pete Davidson is the most unfunny motherfucker? Like, I don't find anything funny about this guy.
I thought he was funny on Saturday Night Live. I think pretty much everything he's done since then hasn't been funny.
Yeah.
To the point where I hear his voice and I'm like, ooh.
I feel he is, because there are other comedians or other Saturday Night Live alum or even other people who try to be funny who I think are not funny. And Davidson, he's not like one of the top 5 people I think of when I think of unfunny people. I don't find him as amusing as others do. I feel like Pete Davidson is funny because he has a good support group. He is surrounded by other people who are funny, and his friends love him. And I feel like that helps prop him up.
I think it's a huge creative misstep to put voice actors who have very distinctive ways of speaking, like John Goodman and Woody Harrelson, into an animated production, and then put Pete Davidson, who has nothing special about his voice at all. There's not. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell Woody Harrelson immediately. The guy's got a very...
Goodman too.
Right. And then Pete Davidson's like, well, so why couldn't you get somebody else in there? Like, put fucking Raymond.
I think that all the time with not to get on a tangent in your middle of it, but I think that every time a big animated movie comes out and they pay these actors $20 million to be the voice, and it's like, does that really make the movie? Like, do we really care?
It's weird.
That Tim Allen is Buzz Lightyear. Does that really matter? Right? Like it was just somebody.
Well, you can't take Tom Hanks out of Woody. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
You just can't. But so conceptually, you get a story in here that is maybe an access way to the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers on Tubi. You also get one of the most creatively vibrant underground stories of all time, and it's the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers come down. They just decide one day to stop doing drugs. It's like, yep, they're sitting at the kitchen table, and it's like, you know what? Let's stop with the drugs. And in doing so, they transform from cartoon characters into real-life, three-dimensional beings. And what they did was they actually photographed real people. No, you can find out who is who in the back matter for this book. And then the photos were actually airbrushed. This is way before Photoshop. So they were airbrushed, and it's really one of those stories that once you see it, you remember it forever, because it's real life Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, and they all have the very distinctive noses, blah blah blah. But the real gem of this issue is Fat Freddy's Comics and Stories, which is a pastiche on a whole bunch of stuff. most notably EC Comics. You got Gilbert Shelton, Paul Mavrides, Hal Robbins, Jack Jackson, a.k.a. Jackson with an X, Spain, Guy Caldwell, S. Clay Wilson, Ted Richards, and Shelton did the storyboards. But it's a pastiche on EC Comics. And it's not only EC Comics. Like, the first story is by Mavrides, and he starts off by doing a pastiche of Graham Ingalls. And then he does Wally Wood. And then he does Jack Davis. And then he does Jack Kamen. And Harvey Kurtzman. And Frazetta. It's like, stop. And that's not enough. So I'm going to do a pastiche on Edward Gorey. And it just keeps going. And then there's a superhero, beautifully illustrated superhero parody of Star Wars. Then it segues into Freddy the Barbarian by Jackson. Like, what if Freddy was in a Conan type situation? There's a Kurtzman pastiche by Spain. Like this, you cannot buy this stuff. It's just so invaluable. It's amazing. And then they take a stab at Howard the Duck. This was the period where Marvel was publishing the Howard the Duck magazine. That didn't last too long. And this is called Frederick the Duck. Yeah. But I will admit, a lot of a good part of this volume is taken up with the Fat Freddy's cat strips. And a lot of the humor in those strips it falls flat. It really does. I think the joy of the Fat Freddy's cat strips are the cartooning and maybe not exactly what's going on within the strips. Some of them are just not funny, right? But visually, yeah, this book's a treat. If you're not on the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers library, I think you should get on it because there's only like 6, and they're relatively cheap, like $22.99. That's crazy cheap for these books, from what you get. So Fantagraphics, Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, Gilbert Shelton, Paul Mavrides, Dave Sheridan. Get it. 21st Century. This is a really good book. Again, there's the content. It's just 3 guys that are trying to escape reality constantly by getting stoned, getting fucking tripping balls. Like, they just want to escape reality. That's the premise.
So say we all.
Right.
Co-signed. Yeah, it's good shit.
It is, but I mean, if I would hesitate to say that if you haven't lived during it may be just like, holy shit, like these guys are fucking losers. And I guess maybe they were, but a lot of us were losers back then.
It's all in context. It's the era. You wouldn't make these stories today because then that's just you're a fucking loser. But I mean, considering what was going on at the time, I had
a kid come into class today, fucking doped to the gills. I mean, I walked up to him, he just smelled like herb. And I was like, what? And he's a good kid. So I was like, okay, carry on. Like, I didn't call him out on it. It's like, you do you. He still did the work. He still contributes. So if you're highly functional, then do it.
There you go.
But that's
campus.
This is the thing.
Is supposed to be tobacco and vape free. And I guess it's not tobacco, but yeah, as soon as I walk into my office and down the hallway to the classrooms, the waft hits you right in the face.
Well, that's not tobacco. That's the ganja.
That's why I'm just going to follow these kids to class because this way, that contact. But no, it's and the cartoon, I think the cartoon is smart because they're not adapting. They're not trying to adapt the stories that were told back in the day.
Yeah, I was reluctant with the cartoon at first.
Yeah, same.
I was like, fuck this. This is stupid. Tiffany Haddish is...
to the future.
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish is the best part, I think.
Oh, I love her as the cat, yeah.
Yeah.
As Freddy's cat. It's fantastic.
But I warmed up to it. I think it has some genuinely funny moments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I always assumed this would be a comic I wouldn't enjoy.
No, it's not for you. It's definitely not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The packaging is the presentation, but yeah,
No, I have no issues with the visuals, but I just think, like you said, it's a bunch of drugged out slackers, which is kind of like saltpeter for me.
Yeah. Phineas gets his girlfriend pregnant, and
that's
it's so stupid that she wants to raise it, but then her father convinces her to have an abortion or something, gives her money for it.
But
and
he wants the baby.
And Phineas wants the baby. So he goes to a dude who hooks him up with a artificial womb. And so he carries the baby. And it ends up having massive amounts of little Phineas babies, and they chop them all up. Like, what the fuck? I thought it was going to be some kind of a statement on, I should have known better. Some kind of a pro con dangers of abortion. Nah, they just like, there's just little Phineas or Phineas homunculi, and they kill them all. And then they take the money and go spend it on something else. Okay.
R.I.P.
Yeah, there you go. What else we got?
So I guess this makes it an image-orama. There are in this parallel universe, because it's not exactly the world we live in. There are currently, in 1999, 6 superpowered beings. Half of them are known as the Atomics or the Nuclear Family. There are 2 that you would consider maybe an angel or a demon, and then there's one that's basically just a magician. And this is a book. This is a series by Kieran Gillen and Casper Weingard, and it is the power fantasy. And aside from the main story in each issue of the 4 issues so far, what I really enjoy about this book are Kieran's essays at the end of each issue, and how, especially in the second issue, he explains how this particular series came to be, and it's because of kind of what he couldn't get away with when writing Immortal X-Men. And he's talked about previous books that he's written where, after working for the big 2 and the restrictions within those projects, because they're IPs, if he wants to go beyond that, he's kind of have to come up with a creator-owned story, and that's where some of his ideas stem from. But this particular story, I just 1999 is where the present day story takes place, and we get flashbacks here and there of when these powered beings came to existence, and it's very smartly done. And Casper's art is fantastic. It's different than his Thunderbolt stuff. It's different from Homesick Pilots. He's tweaked some things here and there, but it works for these characters, and it works for this story. And Lux, or at the end, he's pretty much he seems to be the guy that the governments want to remove, take off the board, and he always seems to be a couple of steps ahead. But you have you've got, in the first issue, you had mass casualties because the governments wanted to eliminate or assassinate one of the superpowers, a guy who goes by the name of Heavy, and that attempt was squashed. But in order for Heavy not to retaliate and basically destroy countries, Lux had to intervene. And Heavy said, if you don't want me to take the steps I want to take, this is what you need to do. And Lux basically remotely killed everyone who knew about, who initiated, who ordered, who put into motion this assassination attempt. Which of course doesn't make Lux any more loved within these countries, but the relationship between all 6, as you watch it play out, and like I said, and Gillen's going to kind of like bounce around, and in I think in the third or fourth issue, he kind of breaks down a timeline from the start of the first introduction of the first superpower to 1999. He through there are highlights of certain years that, and he actually has a little footnote, so we'll actually see scenes of these events play out in future issues. So we know he plans for something, you know, beyond the fifth or sixth issue. It's just, it's a wild story. It's a wild book. I said it looks amazing. The characters are I'm not gonna say they're relatable, but you actually do you can be empathetic to them. You are they're the way they act or react and how they behave and know that they're kind of they're better than the majority of the planet. They're not all assholes. They're not. You don't wish for their demise. It's not. It's not Batman versus Joker. Kieran's kind of writing a story where it almost feels like the kind of world it would be were superpowered beings in existence, and we haven't seen it yet, at least in the 4 issues so far. But something happened to Europe, and which again stresses that this is not the world we lived in up until 1999. So I'm stoked to see where we go from here. It's wild. The art is great. I haven't enjoyed a Gillen book this much. Hell, probably since Thunderbolt. I
Watch
know,
yourself, bro. What?
Listen. I haven't read a ton of the X-Men stuff after Hickman. You know, so I mean, like, I haven't, like, so if I go to the end of like the 4th issue with his library, I mean, it's a hell of a lot of Wicked and Divine, which I have a couple of trades, but you know, I haven't. There isn't a lot of Kieran Gillen in my library presently. But no, that's true. And I haven't read Once in Future yet. I have not read Once in Future.
Dog.
So yeah, so I haven't. I can't. And of course, I mean, Mora was when I was first solicited years ago. It was Mora that piqued my interest with that. When I knew Kieran Gillen was writing it, I knew it would be a good story because what I have read from him, I've enjoyed. Whether it was, like I said, whether it was, even Die. I enjoyed Die when that started. But yeah, and even Phonogram, which I know everybody loved when it started, but I mean, I don't know how dated that might feel these days. But yeah, I know that Kieran's written a lot of good stuff. Of the things that I've read by him, the Power Fantasy is high on the list, at least until I read Once in Future. But yeah, I definitely, I said 4 issues. I don't know if I don't know if the first trade has been solicited yet in the November, December previews. But yeah, if you haven't started it yet, I definitely recommend it in your travels, the Power Fantasy.
Yeah, I would say that Immortal X-Men and also the Eternals were like 2 of the best Marvel books of the last 5 years. But,
he did write that. Yeah. Okay,
yes,
sorry, my bad.
Yes, he did. But anyway, yeah, it's my dog. I think he's like one of the best writers in the biz, and I want him to come on the show. So get caught up. But also, I'm glad you love this. This is like Dap showing me love tonight. This is like it's
See what happens when you go away.
You know what it is? Is that what happens? I love it. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
God, I want to step on my own head.
Oh,
stop
it. Hush.
Stop it. Before I do my inner travels, 2 things. One, for those of you that need a reminder, please do hit up the 11 O'Clockers ballot. You can find it most easily by going to 11o'clockcomics.com, and you'll see on the top left, DAP has got a nice little tab for you to go there. It'll bring you to a Google form. I know some people always are like, oh, is that legit? Yes, it's a Google form. And it's remember, this year is different. We are switching it up. We are doing 2 categories. Your 10 favorite comics of the year. Could be any form. Could be a one-shot. Could be a strip. Could be a webcomic. Could be a graphic novel. Could be an omnibus. Whatever you want to do. Your 10 favorite. Rank them 1 through 10. And then your 5 favorite creators. Same thing. Any creator can be as broadly defined as you want it. Rank them 1 through 5. We will tally the results and do our show. We will each present our top 10 and our top 5. And remember, the more of you that participate, it's a win-win because we are giving away, thanks to a great partnership with Cheap Graphic Novels, a gift certificate to CGN. And the amount of the gift certificate will be determined ultimately by how many of you submit ballots. And it can be up to $200, depending on how many of you go out and vote. And it's going to be much easier to vote this year than in years past. We don't have to ask you. We're not asking you to do 32 different categories. Just give us your top 10 and your top 5. Very easy. Doesn't matter what kind of stuff you read. Throw it in there.
Wait a minute. What's the top 5?
Top 5 creators.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Gotcha.
And then before I do my inner travels, I want to ask you guys the DC all DC episode the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Real quick, did you guys like JLU or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I love it a lot. It's like getting the band together times 1,000, which it's like had me stiff.
Well, it's like getting the planet together. Like everybody.
Especially with and more art. Oh man, glorious. But in your travels, so glad that this finally came out, and that is Blacksad. They All Fall Down Part 2 hardcover. It is the second half of They All Fell Down, the storyline, which was delayed for some time. I assume because of the pandemic. I don't know that for sure. I tried to figure out why the delay, but there was a pretty lengthy delay between volumes 1 and volumes 2. But nevertheless, we got volume 2, and it was well worth the wait, as Blacksad always is. Written as always by Juan Diaz Canales, with art as always by Juanjo Guarnido. And listen, I mean, we've talked about most of the Blacksad books over the years, I'd say. So I don't need to relitigate. This stuff it's absolutely gorgeous. For new listeners who maybe don't know what Blacksad is, it is a pulpy, anthropomorphic comic series. The Blacksad himself is a classic, like 50s style trench coat wearing private detective. He happens to be a cat, and he solves crimes. And in this one, it is a crime very close to his heart because his right hand man, Weekly, the Weasel, at the end of Volume 1, was framed for murders by an industrialist who is building up New York, and basically pinned some murders on Weekly. And so Blacksad is doing everything in his power to figure out who actually committed the murders and clear his boy before he gets put to death. He's already been given the death penalty. So it's great stuff. The Guarnido draws incredibly beautiful women. They are anthropomorphic, but they nevertheless are beautiful. And it's always a sight to behold with these pages. I treasure every time we get more Guarnido art. And so it delivered. I assume now that both volumes are out, they'll release a complete version. And because I'm a sicko, I will double dip, no doubt. But either way, this was really great stuff, and I'm so glad that we finally got the conclusion of. I think this is like the 6th Blacksad arc.
Seems like it. Seems like this, yeah.
Yeah. So awesome stuff as always.
Yay! Look at you branching out. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you for listening to this. Thanks for spending time with us. We love you. Glad Jason's back.
Word.
Yeah. What do we want to tell them? Get yourself to a comic book shop and or an online retailer. Buy something. Take a chance on something that may look off the beaten path. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you can find other people online who like it. You know we're going to like it because that's how we roll. And then come back here and we'll probably be talking about it. We'll probably be talking about it next time. In the meantime, say goodnight. Oh, I suck. David.
You do suck.
I do suck big time.
You
can't speak now. He's going to be thrown off.
No, that's the point. I thought you were trying to throw him off at all times.
David, go ahead, speak.
I say I am, but I don't know if I really am.
He's got a clock. You know he hits that little stop line.
Yeah, get vaccinated while you can.
Oh, my God.
That's what I'm saying. Get vaccinated. You got 3
Yes.
weeks.
That's it for that one.